Yo, what is good, everybody? Welcome back to TheLastWord Sports. And today we got the whole squad here. We got your boy, Charlie. We got Fletcher. We got Nick. And we got Scott. And today we're coming at you with our our Western is first, our Western Conference predictions for the season. Now, we know first games were tonight and everything, but still coming at you with our 15-1 predictions on the seeding, what it's going to look like at the end of the season for the Western Conference. Now, as our resident senior here at TheLastWord Sports, I mean, all of us were kind of around here for the same time. I don't really know why I said that, but I've taken the liberty of going first. Okay,
Chuck is he's a decrepit old man. He reminds me.
I've taken the liberty of going first.
I'd call second.
Nick, we can just talk about it's OKC.
It's just a fluid conversation.
It's the Thunder. It's the Thunder.
Okay. Yeah, it's
OKC.
OKC had a mixed offseason. You can say that. They lost definitely their best players minus Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You acquired a lot of picks, so you're set for the future, but that does not mean you're going to do well this season. Now, I know fans of The Last Word out there are going to be like, but Chuck, you had Lou Dort as your most improved player of the year because you thought they were going to make the playoffs. I did, didn't I? But then I realized they suck, so they won't make the playoffs. In fact, they're not even going to make it close. They're going to be the worst team in the Western Conference, possibly the league. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has never been the number one option on his squad. You can count last year if you want. I don't. I still think Chris Paul was their guy. And it's kind of going to be an experimental year for the Thunder, in my opinion.
I agree. I think this season, it's just rebuild mode, man. They're trying to lose. They're trying to get the good picks. They're already stacked with first rounders. I mean, I think it was 17 in the next, 6 years? I mean, that's absolutely absurd. They have plenty of room to find new players to fit their, roster and build up. But it's definitely going to be a weird season in OKC with all these veterans that kind of came in there and all of these young
Horford, baby,
that haven't played at all in their entire careers. It's going to be a weird season for OKC, but they're definitely going to be the worst team in the Western Conference for me.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with that. OKC, the sort of glue that held that team together and made them function so well last year was Chris Paul. Where's Chris Paul now? He's in Phoenix. He's not with the team anymore. So I just think it's a matter of we're just going to give Shai a test run, see how he does as the first option. We're going to, we're not going to have a great season, but they're going to, find all the bright spots and see what needs to be improved upon. Then they're going to take advantage of their copious amounts of first-round picks moving forward. And, there's still potential that they could end up doing better than 15. It's just on paper, yeah, the 15th just makes sense for the Thunder.
Scott.
So I'm going to keep it simple, stupid. I got 4 teams: San Antonio, Sacramento, Minnesota, and OKC. And those are the 4 teams in the West who I know are not going to make the playoffs. Absolutely. And all 4 of them are the bottom 4 for me.
Scott.
I agree. OKC is the last. I wouldn't be shocked if any of the other ones were the last. I love Shai Gilgeous. I think Lou Dort's got some nice potential.
They
got some good young players and a ton of picks. But I'm a little worried because they don't have anyone who's near a superstar yet. And first-round draft picks in the NBA, even though they have a lot of them, are not necessarily that useful unless
they're hit or miss depending on your situation.
Lottery picks, yeah. So they're probably going to have to ship them to get, a good player and hope Shai can develop into a complimentary superstar. We'll see. But, yeah, they're just not a very talented roster this year.
You know what, Scott? I'm glad you brought up those other 3 teams other than OKC because those are actually my other 3. I have 14 Kings at 13 and Timberwolves at 12. Fletcher, Nick, where did you have those guys?
All of them.
I had
all of them bottom 4. Fletcher, how about you?
Bottom 4.
Yeah, I have 14 Kings, 13 Spurs, 12 T-Wolves.
Perfect. Okay, so we could just run through those teams really quick. For the Spurs, you got worse. just by not doing anything. You got a little bit complacent. I know DeJounte Murray is going to be back in full force this year, but realistically, how much is that going to help you when DeRozan's declining, LaMarcus Aldridge is on his last limbs? Like your team hasn't gone anywhere since,
your two best players are just
traded. They're not going anywhere, man.
Yeah,
who wants to touch on Sacramento?
All their
real quick on the Spurs, they're good enough where, I wouldn't be shocked if they're in, contention for the 8th seed at the end of the year. They've got Pop. They've still got guys like DeRozan and Aldridge who are solid players, Rudy Gay. And I really like Devin Vassell, the rookie, who I thought my Knicks were going to take because I didn't think Obi Toppin would be there. Expect big things from him. I'm thinking like 15-5 as a rookie.
No, he's a stud.
But they've got a bunch of young guards and a bunch of old deteriorating players who were all-stars but were never quite superstars. So, yeah, I don't think there's any chance.
Scott, and Jakob Poeltl.
And
Jakob Poeltl. Okay.
Yeah. I think they do have a pretty underrated young core, but they're not doing anything this year, in my opinion. But for the Kings, I like this Kings team. The Kings have always been one of my favorite teams. I don't know. The Blazers and the Kings kind of have a good relationship trading-wise as well. I think there are a couple players on this lineup that could break out next year, including Marvin Bagley. He could have a pretty big season if he can stay healthy. Rashawn Holmes could have a good season. And obviously De'Aaron Fox, who has a lot of potential. But again, I don't see this team making it to the 8th seed this year. I think give this team a couple more years, keep rebuilding, try and tank a little bit so you can get a little bit higher draft picks. But
with the lottery though, as long as they miss the playoffs, they'll get a lottery pick with a chance at a high player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you just keep moving forward, keep doing what you've been doing. Keep missing the playoffs a couple years and play your young players, and you'll be fine.
They just got to draft right because Sacramento's not a big enough market to where they can lure a free agent in. They just have to make draft decisions.
Especially with Luke Walton, they've got a culture of losing, and that's really going to hurt them. Also, I see Buddy Hield's minutes declining severely. He's still in Sacramento, right? He didn't move anywhere. They drafted Halliburton, who I like, and I was surprised by the pick because he was kind of a point guard at Iowa State.
And he fell, though. They had to take him. He fell to the 13th pick.
I think it was the right pick. I think they're going to move forward with the young backcourt of him and Fox, which I really like, has a bunch of potential. And Bagley, who was a very high pick, still has a lot of potential as a young big man. Mm-hmm. But I think Buddy Hield kind of showed us at the end of last year that his and Luke Walton's relationship was deteriorating. I think he'll probably be moved by the trade deadline to someone who's looking for shooting him, on a contending team. So, again, they're a couple years off, like you guys said.
Mm-hmm. Just to ask you guys, this isn't really much on the topic of seeding, but since they had a little beef going on, who's better, De'Aaron or Ja? Right now,
De'Aaron's better right now.
Right now, De'Aaron
will tell you Ja because of the hype, but De'Aaron Fox averaged like a very quiet, like 20-6, I think.
Yeah, no, yeah.
De'Aaron Fox is the closest thing we've had to John Wall in like 3 years.
Agreed.
Yeah,
John Wall's in the league, Chuck.
He's back. John Wall's back, baby.
He's back. Hopefully he hasn't fallen off the edge of a cliff. I think he'll be pretty solid. But
he's looked pretty nice in his Rockets, preseason debut.
Clippers just won, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just checked that
Lakers can't keep up.
Lakers can't keep up. All right.
Man.
All right, last team, kind of our undisputed 12 seed, the Timberwolves, the last team that we know is not going to make the playoffs, so we can't put them any higher. Timberwolves have a lot of good young talent. Cat and D'Lo are still relatively young. They're kind of like hitting to the point where they should be entering their prime. They got guys like Malik Beasley, Jarrett Culver,
and rookie Anthony Edwards.
And rookie Anthony Edwards, obviously. They had number 1 pick in the draft, Anthony Edwards. They have good wings that could make a splash in due time. They're still in that weird spot where they have their stars and they kind of have a decent core, but they still have these young pieces that are trying to figure out where they fit into that. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, there are still some really, really major defensive issues, especially down low with Karl Anthony Towns. So I think if they can iron that out, they'll be a very solid team. But until then, man, I can't put them any higher.
Yeah, I mean, they really
they're 14 for me. I'm really not sold on Minnesota.
You put him at 14. Damn.
Yeah, look, a lot of people love Cat and say he's going to be one of these great centers. And I see the statistics, and he's a great shooter, but I've just never been sold on the guy because it doesn't contribute to winning. D'Angelo Russell and him have got to be two of the worst defensive superstars, if you can call them superstars yet on the team. Anthony Edwards is Andrew Wiggins all over again. The guy said he couldn't watch basketball games because they're too boring. He'd rather play football. It's all the talent and no drive. This team is going nowhere, and it's kind of frustrating to watch because they have pieces. I mean, they needed Jimmy Butler, a guy who just wheeled the team to the NBA Finals. With Jimmy Butler, they managed to make the 8th seed, and Cat dropped like 5 points on Clint Capella, and they lost in like 5 games to the Rockets.
Yeah.
They've got talent. I just don't think they have.
Yeah, and they just really – I think it all comes down for this team to defense. They have a lot of young, good scoring talent, but they truly just have no defense. Like, they recently cutted Rondé Hollis Jefferson, who's actually a pretty good defender. I was surprised by that one. They kind of needed a wing defender. Not that good of a player, but still weird that they cut him because he's a good defender. But they just have no one on defense. I'm assuming they might make a trade for a young defense.
Beasley's out. Beasley's out.
I'm assuming Malik Beasley's going to get shipped off. And I kind of like Malik Beasley, and I think he has a bright future. But with Anthony Edwards on the bench,
I don't think Improved Player of the Year award video.
Yeah. Anthony Edwards on the bench, I don't think he's going to get as much time as you would like. And I think he's probably going to get shipped off to another team for a defensive player.
Fletcher, anything to add?
I mean, not much other than just what everybody else has said. Their defense is very, very poor. Like Scotty said, they have 2 of the worst defensive star players in the league in D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns. And, it's like they have promising young pieces. You look at them offensively, they're monstrous in some regards. Offensively, you got Karl Anthony Towns who can stretch the floor. He can do anything on offense. And D'Angelo Russell, who when he's on, he's a force to be reckoned with. And Anthony Edwards, who's going to come in and be, I think, an elite scorer in the league for years to come. It's just the question mark with everybody on this team is defense. This team could have the worst defense in the NBA. I would not be surprised at all if they were statistically the very worst.
Honestly, dude, I could agree with that. I could 100% see that. At least at the most bottom 3, I would say.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
Okay. Right. Our 11 seeds. Now, this is where feathers will be ruffled.
Yeah, it will be controversial.
Probably 11 to 7 seed is where things are going to get a little bit dicey because we're going to have differing opinions. Guys, at the 11 seed this year, I have the Phoenix Suns.
Ooh, no.
Okay, I'm not that mad at it. To be quite frank, I could see anywhere 11 through 5 seed being in a different order.
I can't. I'm sorry.
I get that, Fletch, but
I can't support
you do bring up a good point. There's equal talent on a lot of these teams.
I can't support it.
But how, Chuck? Because Chris Paul is just a born winner. The guy wins wherever he goes. He goes to an OKC team.
Where's his chip?
You said was going to be the 15 seed, the worst team in the Western Conference.
And
last year they were a top 4 or 5 seed.
Last year I said it too, and maybe it's just my Chris Paul hate.
No,
Chris Paul is a born leader, bro.
I said OKC 15 last year too.
But dude,
I think most people said OKC.
Once again, man, I'm not sold. Like, you lost Kelly Oubre in the offseason. I know that might seem a little bit. I know that might seem a little bit insignificant.
Out for the Warriors.
I know that might seem a little insignificant, man, but he was their second option for a long time when DeAndre Ayton was out with his little pee problem or whatever the hell was going on.
But he's not out with pee problems anymore.
Understood, but like, he was a big time scorer for them for a very long time.
He's an underrated defender.
And I don't know how Chris Paul is going to be able to fill that role. If he's going to fill that role, how he's going to look at this certain age, because, he's only 6 foot. Mikal Bridges is going to have to come into his own. While he's a great defender, he's kind of
Chuck, let me get this clear really quick. You're not confident because Chris Paul is too short?
Well, because he's getting old and he's too short, Scott.
Okay.
Do not make
wanted
this
to-
sport.
just wanted to
Chuck.
clarify.
Okay,
Well,
he's
Chuck,
one of the.
Chuck, we just saw this man play less than half a year ago. We just saw Chris Paul balling out less than half a year
All
ago.
I'm saying,
Now
Chuck,
he's on
is
the Suns.
I
He's
don't-
arguably
I
a
don't
better
think it's gonna
supporting
happen.
cast
I
than,
don't think it's gonna
than
happen.
Oklahoma City. He's got a better supporting cast. He's
He
got
has
DeAndre
two
Ayton
better.
and
He
Devin
has two
Booker.
better players. I think that OKC's supporting cast overall was better.
Chuck,
He's
Phoenix
got
isn't
two
going
better
to go
players.
anywhere.
He's got Ayton and he's got Booker. Other than that, I don't see it.
Phoenix isn't going anywhere in the playoffs, Chuck. But what Chris Paul does for you is he wins close games. He's a leader.
Which is
He's
fair.
veteran.
Which is
Tom,
fair.
give
But
me
when you're
good.
losing by 20 already, it's
And
hard.
that's how you get to the
I
playoffs
don't
in the
think them
NBA.
by 20. I think they've got a good young defense. They've got a lot of scores on this lineup.
Phoenix is my
I-
5 seed, Chuck.
It's your
Yeah.
5 seed.
That's
Ooh,
that's
that's-
a bit high. I'm a bit of a
But-
median between you two.
I think Chris Paul is a phenomenal player, and yes, he's getting old, but I think he's going to age pretty well compared to most players.
Like fine
he
wine, Nick.
Like,
Like fine
athleticism.
wine.
He's a smart defender. He's a smart playmaker. He makes the right shots. He's a great player. Devin Booker has been on the come up for a while now. DeAndre Ayton, 18 and 12, big man that can. He's a really underrated big man in this league, and a lot of people crapped on being so high in the draft compared to like Luka and Trae Young. But I think he really does fit this Suns team pretty well, especially with
Chris Paul can facilitate for him.
Okay, man, y'all want to clown on me for my. What are your 11 seeds, huh?
I
Memphis,
got
bro.
the Grizzlies.
I agree.
Okay, you know what? Memphis was next. Memphis was next. Memphis was 10. Memphis was
Yeah,
10.
Chuck had Memphis as his 1 seed. Then all of a sudden he's like, nope. They were. Let me take a look. They were 10. Yeah.
But Jaren Jackson, I think with him out for at least the first month, maybe 2 months, I think that's a big hit on this roster. I think Jaren Jackson is going to be a superstar in the making. I think he's
about my man Brandon Clark.
Brandon Clark could fit in pretty well, but I still think losing Jaren Jackson for at least this first part of this season is going to be a big hit on this team, especially
I like
for
Memphis, man.
playoffs.
I like Memphis more than Phoenix.
Yeah, don't know why.
I'll tell you. You want me to tell you why?
Go ahead,
Tell
Chuck.
you
Go
why.
I have no idea what has driven you to like Memphis more than Phoenix, but
Because Phoenix
Memphis.
has better point guard, they have better shooting guard, they have better center. The top 3 players are better than Memphis's top 3 players.
All about depth, man. You know that better than anyone else. Clippers.
Yeah. Tell me about the depth that Memphis has, Chuck.
Well, Scott, once
Kyle
Jaren Jackson.
coming off the bench, whew, he's gonna light you up, man.
All right, I think we can move on from the Grizzlies for now.
No, I want to say this really quick though. Memphis was in the playoff discussion last year. They would have had it if they didn't do the whole bubble, and the play-in thing.
I mean, they had the play-in for the Blazers, so
Yeah.
they almost had it.
But and this is not a knock on Memphis for why I think they're going to be like the 11. I just think the Warriors are going to come back, and I don't think the Warriors are going to be great. I think they'll be better than Memphis, though. I think New Orleans takes a step up and gets past Memphis,
I see.
and I think Phoenix. So that's where they kind of fall.
I agree.
From.
Those are exactly
That's fair.
what I thought. That was my exact same
Okay.
vision.
Does
Obviously,
anyone
I
else
didn't
have a different 11? Or did I cut you off, Fletch? Did I cut you off?
No,
No,
you're fine.
he said it was the Grizzlies. I don't know
Yeah.
about y'all, but for my number 10, I got the Pelicans. I think they have a lot of young
Yo.
talent.
Disrespect.
I got the Pels at 10 as well.
I got the Pels at 9.
I think
The Pels are my 8 seed.
they've got a really
They're
good
sneaking in.
it's Zion, Brandon Ingram. Lonzo's still pretty good. I think he could make a step up this year. They got Steven Adams now, and I think he actually might complement this Pelicans team pretty well. I think and Eric Bledsoe will be a big help as well on the defensive side of things. And obviously losing Drew Holiday was a big hit, but still they got a ton of picks.
Eric Bledsoe.
What?
You got Eric Bledsoe, though.
Yeah, no, but
Exactly.
Bledsoe Drew Holiday.
Bledsoe's a
But like
baller.
it's at least comparable to the standpoint where like the Pelicans don't lose so much,
It is not an
especially if
immeasurable.
their players develop the way they need them to.
No, it was a pretty good trade for the Pelicans. Chuck.
Yeah, they definitely got a lot of picks, which is
Bledsoe and Drew, it's like a pretty marginal difference between the players. Slight edge to Drew, but like Bledsoe's a good baller. And he's a good player to have on your team.
Yeah, and his offensive game is a lot more complete than Bledsoe's.
Okay. We'll talk about them again when we hit around the 8th seed where I have them, okay? Anyone else have a different 10? Oh, you guys all had Pelicans.
Yeah.
All right,
no, my
seed.
10 is not the Pelicans.
Oh.
My 10 is
you had 9, right. Okay, what's your 10?
Houston.
Okay, that's fair.
All right. Yeah,
because
that's
fine.
fair.
I
That's
think
my
if Harden, quits partying with little baby,
Dude,
and
I can't
realizes
figure out where to put him because of Harden. That's the thing. I
that's-
can't predict it. I
if
don't know.
Harden
where he's
stays,
going.
and they have John Wall, James Harden, Christian Wood, Boogie Cousins.
DeMarcus
I
Cousins.
think they could be a top 4 or 5 seed in the West. I think they're a better team than they were last year with Westbrook if Harden stays. So I think they could actually make some noise, especially if Wall and Cousins can, stay healthy. But assuming Harden's traded within the next couple of weeks, like he wants to be, to maybe a Philly, a Denver, or whoever, I just don't see them winning that many games. I think they honestly might try to find a way to ship John Wall out again, once Harden leaves and kind of just fully commit to the rebuild. They've got some nice young pieces like Christian Wood, but I don't see them winning too many games without Harden.
Yeah, I think when it comes to Harden, I think he's going to be probably shipped off, and they're probably going to get a very good size return for Harden. So I mean, they still could be in playoff contention just because of making a big trade for some good players. I just don't know. I think this season is kind of going to be going down the trash for the Rockets, because I think they're going to ship off Harden. I think John Wall in Houston is going to be a little weird considering that he's older and this team is going to start to rebuild. And DeMarcus Cousins, I think he's still a good player, and he still has potential to be pretty good in this league, even though
you just don't know what to expect from DeMarcus Cousins at this point.
But I think the Rockets are my 9th seed.
They're my 9th.
They could absolutely
as well.
into the playoffs. They could absolutely be a top 5 seed if Harden stays, but it's all speculation for now.
You can't tell.
Yeah, you cannot comfortably put the Rockets in the playoffs with how much turmoil is going on within that organization right now. So they're my 9th seed. They're right there on the edge. And I think that if Harden comes back and he fully commits to the Rockets and everybody's firing on all cylinders, I think their ceiling could be as high as like the 3 seed, because they'd have all the talent, all the pieces to make a good run into the playoffs and potentially even be contenders. However, Harden wants out. There's obviously a lot of conflict and friction within the Rockets organization right now. It's just that the way they're acting right now, it makes me way too uncomfortable to have them higher than the 9 seed.
Agreed. Okay.
8th seeds, everybody.
Scott, what was your 9?
My 9 was New Orleans. I think Zion, if he can stay healthy, should make an all-star leap right next to Brandon Ingram. That'll be a phenomenal duo for years to come. And they've got a bunch of young talent. I don't think they're quite ready to make the playoffs, especially with more experienced teams ahead of them. But they're kind of on that cusp, and, maybe next year.
Who knows? Maybe Zoe's a breakout player.
Yeah, and you know what, Scott? I'm not looking for next year. I'm looking for this year. 8 seed Pelicans, let's go. I believe in you. Let's go. Let's make a run this year.
Who were your 9 and 10 again, Chip? Who'd you leave out?
Grizzlies at 10, Rockets at 9.
What you need to know, Scotty, is that remember
because you left out.
He has Phoenix at 11.
Phoenix is at 11, Scott.
I just don't see that happening.
It's ridiculous. So the Pels.
That's why.
The Pels I like,
Yeah,
obviously.
I'm shortest.
Brandon Ingram and Zion are going to be super fun to watch for years to come. Brandon Ingram's finally he sort of bloomed out into what a lot of people.
He's what we
expected
wanted him to be in LA.
Yeah, he's now turned into what a lot of people expected him to be with the Lakers. And then you combine that with Zion, who for his 20 or so games that he played last year, looked pretty fantastic.
You have, sorry, Fletcher, just to add on your point, you have 3 phenomenal passing guards: Lonzo Ball, great distributor. Eric Bledsoe can run your offense like anybody. And Kira Lewis Jr., who was recently drafted
from
last
Bama.
pick in the lottery,
Mhm.
probably going to be a De'Aaron Fox, John Wall type mold for the next few years. Him running that fast break with Zion, man, whew, that's scary. That is scary.
For me, I think it's going to be a team led by Brandon Ingram. And Brandon Ingram, he kind of reminds me of like a shorter KD. His offensive package is just
For sure.
perfect. It's perftly sound.
Gene,
He really hit
it's
any
like no one's made that comparison before.
It's like
so intellectual.
He hasn't had that comparison.
But he's shorter. He's
Duke at
shorter.
all.
I included that in there.
He is shorter.
Oh, then I hate him.
But he's going to be a great player. Bright future. If he can stay healthy, I think the Pelicans are a future great team. But I'm interested to watch this team. This is going to be a great team to watch.
Giving them the 8 seed, baby. Giving them the 8 seed. All right. What are y'all's 8 seed?
All right, my 8 seed, I'm right in between Chuck and Scotty's madness right there. I got Phoenix right at 8.
Agreed.
And
I could see that happening. I just choose not to see it happening. I hate sport people.
Whenever you
when
bring
Phoenix gets a top 5 seed, y'all are gonna be owing me, man. I'm telling you. Right?
I put
the thing is, like I said, I could
when
see
DeAndre Ayton starts taking pee pills again and they lose a bunch of.
I could see anywhere from my 11 seed to my 5 seed
That's what
going in a different order. So it's like having the Suns at 8. Having the Suns at 8, I could easily see them at number 5. However, if things do go bad, they could fall back as low, probably not as 11, but like 9 or 10.
For me,
so I'm just, sorry, go ahead, Nick.
What's your 8, Nick?
It's also the Suns. For me, I put all of my teams on like best possible scenario and worst possible scenario. And for me, the best possible is Suns at the 5 seed, and the worst is the 9 seed and barely missing the playoffs. But I think it's more likely for them to get like a 7 to 8 spot than anywhere else. I think this is a very good team. Lots of young talent, but also lots of experienced old talent coming in, as well as like Chris Paul, Jay Crowder's a big help on defense as well.
He was big in that, and a lot of people don't give him credit for what he did in Miami. He was a
second most threes in the bubble.
He was a bulldog. Well, he played every game.
True, but still.
Like Dame, who played 5.
Regardless, you're not thinking,
even though he's a much better shooter, he doesn't have the chance.
You're not thinking of Jay Crowder as the knockdown 3-point shooter.
But he's a good 3-point.
That was just like a
he can hit the 3.
He can shoot it.
Yeah, but I think the Suns team is great. They really could be anywhere from the 5 to the 9 for me.
All right. Yep. Okay, so if my memory serves me correct, we all have the same top 7 except for Scott, who is Phoenix.
Well, hold on. Did I mention my 8?
Except for your 8. Yeah, what's your 8?
Yeah, I have the Golden State Warriors.
Okay.
So,
okay.
I feel like people are going to overreact to them getting slaughtered by the Nets because the Nets are probably one of the best teams in the league.
And they didn't have Draymond. Draymond wasn't there.
And Golden State,
Nets are a top 3 team.
I think is still good enough to make the playoffs for sure. But when I consider that a lot of their best players, like Steph and Dre, are on the older end, might miss some games. I don't see Dre staying healthy, and he's probably going to be in and out of the lineup. Clay, their glue guy, their defensive stalwart, a guy who's an explosive scorer. He's out too, so they're not really able to move the ball as much the way as they would have loved to, with fully healthy Clay and Draymond. I still think this team is good enough on the back of Steph Curry, the league MVP, and they've got some nice pieces in Kelly Oubre and Andrew Wiggins and a young James Wiseman.
Wiseman had a nice debut today.
Wiseman's going to be rookie of the year, mark my words.
Wiggins and Oubre looked horrible, though, just as shooters. They were like 4 of 20 from the field. But
not as dunkers. Kelly Oubre baptizing Kevin Durant.
I don't think the Warriors are going to place a huge emphasis on the regular season. I still think they're good enough to be a playoff team. I don't really know where to place them because I don't think everything's going to click. But, they could be dangerous in the playoffs if Steph heats up and everything meshes. They have the talent there, and they have the experience.
They definitely have the talent. I mean, Steph still has all the same skills Steph has ever had. He's a phenomenal player. James Wiseman looks competent in his opening game, and I really like what I've seen from him. He's my early pick for rookie of the year. And Andrew Wiggins, as much as we like to dog on him, he was good for 20 points a game last year, and he was solid. Of course, he had a rough opening night.
No, I like Wiggins. I drafted him in fantasy.
Yeah, overall for the year, I think Wiggins is going to be solid, and so I got the Warriors at my 7 seed right now.
Agreed.
Obviously, we have a lot of similar picks, Nick.
We do. It's weird.
About that. I think I might be stupid.
All right, so we're moving to 7 seeds now.
Wait, can I talk about the Warriors?
Go for it, Nick.
For me, I think this Warriors team has a lot of, again, old talent mixed with young talent. Wiggins is an experienced player. Curry's an experienced player. Draymond's an experienced player. But you also have a bunch of young guys in Kelly Oubre, Marquise Chris, Eric Paschal, a bunch of guys.
Marquise Chris is not going to play much.
Marquise Chris is not young.
Yeah, I thought he was young.
Marquise Chris
is like his 6th year in the league, dude. He's like his old. He's probably older than Kelly Oubre.
He's the
I
boss.
thought he was like 26. That's okay. Well, anyways.
He's been around. This is like his 6th team.
Yeah.
He's peaking right now.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a good season. I really like this Warriors team, but I don't see them missing the playoffs, but I don't see them higher than like the 5th seed. I think they're a good team. They have a pretty good chance to upset in the playoffs. They've got a lot of forwards that are hard to guard that can play good defense. But they're going to be an interesting team to watch because of Stephen Curry. We all know Stephen Curry is easily one of the best players in the NBA. Literally everything on the offensive side of things, he's a mastermind at. He can move off the ball. I think without Draymond, that was a big hit for tonight versus the Nets.
Steph needed to be the primary playmaker.
Yeah. But without Clay on defense, that's going to be huge for the Warriors team. And I think they do have a pretty good chance at being a good team, but I just don't know it this year.
I agree with that, but I think there's one team that they won't pass in the playoff standings. I have Warriors at my 6th seed, and at my 7th seed, I have the Utah Jazz.
And who was your 8 again, Chuck?
That's
the Pelicans.
New Orleans.
That's just flipped for me, Chuck. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have Utah at 7 as well, so we can kind of segue.
So
I have Utah a little bit higher.
Here's the thing about Utah. They've been a good team ever since Mitchell came into the league.
They've got a ceiling.
They've got a ceiling though. Like they have not made a concrete move to make them better since Donovan Mitchell was drafted. Yeah, they got Bogdanovich. Yeah, they have Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench or whatever. You have one of the best rim protectors in Rudy Gobert, and you have your star in Donovan Mitchell. But that has gotten you past the first round, like what, once or twice in the past 4 years or something?
Yeah, and it should be noted that one of those was they beat Paul George and Russell Westbrook, who at the time we thought was a crazy upset because those guys had both been, MVP caliber players. Mm-hmm. And in retrospect, those two have not had so much success in the playoffs. So, maybe we can attribute that a little bit more to PG and Russ failing than the Jazz overcoming these great odds.
Exactly. And it's just, I like the Jazz, dude, and I want to root for them, but it's just like every single time they make the playoffs, because they're a good regular season team, and then they make the playoffs and, they have a few close games or whatever. And then people are like, oh, yep, right on the coattails of the Jazz. Here they come. This is their year. And then they just, they lose. And then we're coming in the offseason and they're like, oh, this great team coming in the offseason. Let's see what they do to make them better. And it's like, oh, they re-signed Bogdanovich. Cool. What else is coming? And then nothing else comes. And then they're the same team they were last year, and they're going to do the same exact thing.
They gave Gobert a huge extension too. So
yeah, that was an absurd amount of money, but I think it makes a little bit of sense because it's not like you're going to attract superstars into the Jazz. You have to draft them. So whatever you get, you pretty much have to pay him a little bit to stay there. And I think it was a good move to sign him. A little too much money, but they're a very, in my opinion,
they're spending that money to get anyone else.
They're still a very tough team to beat. Mike Conley,
that's why they're in the playoffs.
I know he had an off season last year, but I still think he's a pretty reliable point guard. And you also got Jordan Clarkson, Derek Favors coming off the bench.
Clarkson was really hot.
Oh, right. They got Favors back.
Yeah. He's gonna be nice.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whatever move for me.
I mean, he's like a 76 2K. Okay,
Yeah, I think he's
like he's solid. He's
Jazz. If Donovan Mitchell makes that superstar leap where he just goes off this season, they could be a lot higher. But I got them at my 5th seed. For my 6th seed, though, I have the Mavericks, and I know why you're gonna get mad at me, Chuck. I know this, but this Mavericks team, I know.
Nick,
Luka-
real quick.
dog.
Real quick. Nick, who would you say is better, Luka or Dame?
Very close. I think it's Luka very slightly, but for the future, Luka's obviously going to finish better all time. But Luka's a phenomenal young player. I think for this season, especially with Kristaps out for the beginning of the season, that's going to be a big hit for this team.
Who cares?
Losing Seth Curry was a pretty big hit on their offense as well.
No one cares.
Pinpoint shooter, could shoot pretty much from anywhere.
Tim Hardaway.
They've got
Tim Hardaway's
Boban,
pretty
brother.
Didn't they re-sign Trey Burks too?
Good player of all time.
Yes.
Tim Hardaway is so inconsistent. Jason Richardson.
Seth Curry isn't.
What? No, Seth Curry can.
You
Seth
sound
Curry
like SpongeBob
quiet
here.
night or he goes off. Tim Hardaway's either like, oh my god, he's having the worst night of time, or wow, he looks really good out there. I think Jason Richardson is going to be a great help on the defensive side of things for Luka Doncic. What?
Josh Richardson.
My bad.
Yeah, Jason Richardson. I was about to say, dude, Jason Richardson's been out of the league since like 2016.
I know. Josh Richardson. My bad. Great defender for the Sixers. I think this team is going to be fun to watch again with Luka Doncic because, I think Luka is my MVP choice. I think he's going to average something like 30, 10, and 10 again this year.
So, Nick, this is your 6th seed?
What?
It's your 6th seed or your 7th seed?
It's flipped between this team and the Jazz for me at the 5 and the 6.
And the Jazz are the 5 seed.
Yeah, Nick, I have Dallas at 4, dog, and I could see him higher, But the truth is, man, I think Luka, a guy who in his second year was averaging nearly a 30-point triple-double playing at an MVP level, will take the people who are expecting him to take a monumental leap. It's just not going to happen because there's so few guys in the history of the sport who can get to anywhere near as good as Luka did in his second year. But I still think he'll be a little bit better. I think it will hurt them having Kristaps out, but he should be back, fully back into the rhythm of things by like January. Give him plenty of time to get used to it.
It'll be like late January, I believe.
Yeah, and I think Josh Richardson is really underrated. I don't mind them losing Seth Curry because I don't think they have a shooting problem. And I think Richardson, like you said, will be able to mask some of Luka's defensive deficiencies with his length and athleticism. And so I think that'll be actually a really underrated addition for him.
Matt,
Like, I'm not even
higher than the 6th seed.
Like, bro, I'm not even deriding the Mavs that hard, bro.
Wait, did you guys say your 6th seed already real quick?
My 6th seed's Golden State, but we kind of went thorough.
My 6th seed is the Jazz. I mean, we already talked about that. Everything's sort of been stated. They're stale.
Yeah.
All right, what's about your
6 was Portland?
You're saying, ooh, okay, that's a little,
5 seed.
It's a little low.
5 seed Portland.
Yeah, I mean, look, I like Portland.
All right, let's talk about Portland.
They're a good team. I love Dame. He's probably a top 10 player in the league, superstar. I like CJ, criminally underrated. He does a lot of the same stuff Dame does sometimes, so that has some overlap. And I think Nurk coming back will be a huge addition for him. We've got a bunch of depth, as Nick will be sure to point out. You look at Gary Trent, Rodney Hood, Carmelo Anthony, Derek Jones Jr.
Derek Jones Jr. is great every single preseason game I watched.
I love Derek Jones Jr. And I feel like Harry Giles has started to look better and is started to come out of his shell as well.
It's preseason. I'm going to say this. It's preseason, and Rocco is more of the defender that puts his body and goes after every ball. But no one's doing that in the preseason. So obviously Rocco didn't look as good as he could have been in the preseason. But I think Rocco is easily the biggest addition to this Portland team. I think he's a phenomenal defender. He's a very solid shooter as well. He can guard pretty much the 2 through the 4, effectively. He gets into passing lanes. He's a dog. What?
He could guard the 1, man.
Yeah, you can guard 1 through 4
too. But he's really a absolute defensive monster. I mean, he could really be in contention for a defensive player of the year. I don't think he's going to win it, but he could be in contention.
Okay, Nick.
He could be. But
Nick,
let me
it's time to stop
let
talking.
me say
It's time.
Stop.
No, it's time to stop talking.
Nope. Shut up.
No,
Let me say this.
Nick, it's time.
Shut
To
up.
stop talking. It's time to stop talking. Robert Covington will never win a Defensive Player of the Year. He will
He might get all. He might get
He
all.
will
He's
never
not
be
gonna
in
be an
top
all
3
defensive
contention.
player.
He will never be in top 10. The most I can see him is
Kendrick
getting
Perkins said he
lucky
was gonna
and
win.
lucking into a second team
I
all
know he's
defensive
gonna win it.
spot.
He's not going to be an all
Breaks
defensive.
their legs.
Oh
He's
my
not.
gosh. Okay. Let me say this about Portland. Their bench is absolutely stacked. Look at last year's bench, right? Mario Hezonja, Anthony Tolliver, Bazemore.
Yeah.
Big AT.
20
But
minutes
last
a game.
year,
Kent Bazemore is a good player, but he played
Anthony-
small forward at 6'2".
but Nick, last year we were an 8 seed with a losing record who barely snuck into the playoffs. So
Because we literally had
granted,
Anthony
we have a
Tolliver
guy.
playing 20 minutes per game. He started 8 games.
I know,
And
and
in
all
those
those
8
guys
games,
that
Someone's
he
got
replace
played
them, I think will make
twice.
us. All those guys we have now, I think will get us a for sure playoff spot. But I think when you have a team with a lot of veterans like Dame and CJ and Melo now, they're not necessarily going to give it 100% in the regular season, especially in a shortened year with more back-to-backs. They're not going to go all out to try to push for a top 5 seed. I think or go ahead, Nick. What were you going to say?
I agree with you on that, but I think Dame is still definitely in his prime. And I think Dame is going to
No one's refuting that.
I mean, he led the league in minutes per game last year by a lot with like 37 minutes played.
How is that going to propel them
But
to?
like you said, Nick, we have a lot more depth
He's
now.
going to try.
which
regular
takes the
season.
burden off.
Yeah, like that kind of contradicts what you just said.
I just said he was playing 37 minutes per game.
Yeah, but
which
then you also
proves
brought
that
up the depth. But then you
We
also
have so much more depth now.
Yeah,
though.
but not
So
at
we
the
won't
point.
have
how does the
That's
depth
the
help?
one point. That's the one point I was trying to make is that we
But
don't
we
have
can
a
put CJ at point guard, when Dame's on
He's
the
been
bench.
running,
true,
and
but-
and honestly, Anthony didn't look horrible in preseason.
Okay, I love Anthony, and I think he's got a lot of potential. But every time I've seen him on the floor lately, he just makes the wrong play. And he kind of thinks he's like the Damian Lillard 2.0 right now, by the way he carries himself on the court.
Okay,
He's not like
we're moving on.
he takes deep threes when he shouldn't be. He doesn't really pass the ball as much as he should. But I don't like what Anthony has been bringing to the table lately for Portland. But I think that's okay because we have Damian Lillard, who usually plays a lot of minutes at the point guard spot.
Okay.
But everywhere else, I think this team has tremendous depth. I mean, Enes Kanter, Harry Giles, Rodney Hood, Gary Trent, Carmelo Anthony are all going to be on the bench.
You're just listing players. Can we move on, please?
I
Nick,
think this
can we move on, please? Can we move on? Can we move on? Can we move on? Tell me we can move. Tell me we can move on, dude. Oh my God, you're just listing our roster. Can we move on, please?
Just wanted to say that. Shut up.
Okay. So that was Scott. That was your 6th seed.
Yeah.
So my sixth seed was Golden State, and then 5 seed was Dallas for me.
So you had Dallas below Portland.
I had Dallas below Portland.
You
At
Dallas below
the-
Portland? No, you see,
had
I
Dallas
just
below
I
Portland.
can't help but call cap on that.
I had Dallas below Portland, and I'll.
Yeah, thank you, Fletch.
And
That is such cap.
no, I understand the argument. I understand the argument. Hold on, I'm getting
I
another.
think this roster is more complete than that Mavs roster. And I think with Kristaps out, that's going to be a big hit for the beginning of the season, and the Blazers are going to take an early lead. I think Dame, CJ, and Nurk are a really underrated big three. Nurkic, when healthy, is an absolute beast. 18, 10, 4 an assist, a steal, and 2 blocks kind of guy. He's going to be a big help for this Blazer team because he can move the ball around.
Dude, why are we still talking about the Blazers?
Because you allowed me to talk about the Blazers.
Okay,
From
from this point moving forward, nobody allow Nick any space to talk about Portland.
I will
So,
be doing like 3 videos
Nick-
about Portland in the next
Nick and Fletch. That's a good idea, Nick. Nick and Fletch, how high do you guys have the Blazers?
So
I
the
haven't-
Blazers are my 5 seed.
I have them at the 4.
Okay, yeah.
I have them at 4 as well.
Yeah, I have Portland 6, Phoenix 5, and Dallas 4.
Okay. So we got that out of the way. Okay. Let's Let's just get to the top
Well,
three.
better than Portland.
I'm sure we all have we might have a similar top three. I'm sure we all have Lakers at the 1 seed.
No,
Absolutely.
Scott, don't say Clippers, dude. Don't say the Clippers are
the
the 1
Lakers at the 3 seed, dog.
Why?
What do you mean?
The
why?
best
Did you
team
not
in
watch-
the
did you
NBA
not
just
watch-
added 2 6-man of the year candidates.
Did you not watch the old man out there, running up and down with 8 turnovers in the
That happens in the
Chuck,
first
Chuck,
game of the
listen,
last season,
joking.
and look what happened.
LeBron's still great. Just hear me out, though. Hear me out. Chuck, other than last year, which was an aberration in a shortened season where LeBron was really making an MVP push and he had to, kind of force feed AD the ball in a lot of regular season games to try to build that connection and get in rhythm, right? You look over the last 10 years of LeBron's career, even when he's on the best team in the league, even when he's on super teams, even when he has clearly the best team in his conference, is he the 1 seed? No, he's not. How many years with the Cavs was he like the 5 seed, dude? And they would just sweep Indiana in like the first round. All I'm saying is this year, coming off a 2-3 months rest,
They had Kevin.
shortest rest, right?
It's so different.
LeBron is going to take it easy this year, man. He's going to load manage. First of all, I don't think he's
LeBron doesn't
he's
sleep,
probably
dude.
going to decline a little bit from last year just because of age. He still should average like
Great.
25
Anthony
levels.
Davis is
Even
probably
though he's
just
good.
now entering the best basketball of his career.
He is,
Okay.
and Anthony Davis is great. But again, I think they'll be cautious with Anthony Davis. I think they lost a lot of physicality with JaVale and Dwight. And I know they brought in Schroeder.
You picked
who's
it right back up with
They just
Trez,
got
bro.
Marc Gasol.
They got Marc
Gasol's
Gasol
not
and
physical, dude.
okay,
Marc
what
Gasol's
about
not
Montrez?
physical.
Not as physical as JaVale.
Montrez
Dwight
is more
Howard.
physical than JaVale, brother.
Look, guys, all I'm saying is I still think they should be the favorites to win the title. I don't think they'll get the 1 seed because I don't think LeBron's going to care as much in the regular season. They had the shortest break out of anybody in the history of the league going into this year. All I'm saying is I think they're going to take it easy a little bit, which LeBron has done almost every year for the last 10 years, other than this past season. I think they're going to cool off a little bit, give some of the young guys like THT some more minutes in regular season stuff, Kuzma and Caruso. I still think they'll be the best team in the playoffs. I'm just saying, I don't think they'll be the 1 seed again.
Okay, I understand where Scott's coming from on this one, but I think this Lakers team was definitively probably the first or the second best defensive team last year. And they kept around the same defense while bringing in 2 great offensive players in Montrez and Dennis Schroeder.
I
And
wouldn't
Thank
call
you.
Montrez a great offensive player.
he's like a
He just,
What about physicality, huh? What about the physicality? Montrez is an
Dude,
absolute
did
dog.
you watch
dude.
Montrez in the playoffs, man? I like him. He's a hustle guy, but he really has no offensive, bag to go to. He just gets put back.
Great. Great. You, Anthony Davis, probably the best scoring big man in the league.
I know, but I'm saying with AD and LeBron, they're gonna take it easy. Chuck.
Incompetence.
I don't see
Incompetence is what
I
I'm
don't
dealing
see
with.
AD taking it easy. I don't see it. AD's
I
too
don't-
hungry.
How many times
AD
did
is
the
going to go out.
Raptors- Hold up.
AD
How many
is going to
times
go
did the
out and chase
Raptors get the
MVP
1
this
seed?
year.
over LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love?
By the
We all
way,
knew that the Cavs were the better team.
in my opinion, this Lakers team is one of the probably the most talent LeBron has had around him since maybe LeBron's first year in Miami. I think
What?
this Lakers team is stacked with talent, with guys, everyone on this team, I think would be good. I can't speak right now.
it's time to stop talking. It's time
Yeah,
to
I
stop
know.
talking because I have a breaking news report. Bleacher Report just posted that Charles Barkley has bet $100,000 on the Blazers making the
I
NBA.
know he did. I saw that. That was
Dude,
so. He does it every
we're-
year,
we're
man.
done.
Thank you.
Chuck is
Charles
always
is
right.
such a clown.
It's
I
just
love
something
Chuck.
about people named Chuck having horrible takes, bro.
The Suns
Okay,
are going to be
okay.
the 11th seed.
Okay. Now my 3 seed is the Clippers, and then my 2 seed's the Nuggets.
Okay,
I
I
have
got the
to-
Nuggets.
That's flipped for me.
I have
That's
history
good.
repeating itself.
It flipped for me as well. Fletch, what the hell, man? We have
Bro,
Here's my reason. I think the Clippers will be better, quote unquote, better this season, just because it was their first year with this these 2 great superstars, and Doc Rivers wasn't really necessarily a good fit for a coach. I think Tyronn Lue will be a better coach for that team.
And don't forget, Chuck, for the coaching staff, they also have Chauncey Billups and Kenny Atkinson from
Correct.
the Nets now as a part of that too.
And they
pick
up that guy from the Miami.
But here,
they picked up a coach from Miami that's kind of giving them a new defensive scheme, which looked like it was working really well today.
But my thing is, man, I'm high on Montrezl Harrell. And the fact that they lost him as their backup big man, kind of their primary big man, because I don't know what the hell Zubac is doing in there most of the time, dude.
They got Serge Ibaka, dude.
I think Serge
Ibaka is a much better big man.
That's fair, dude.
I think Serge fits this Clippers team.
Ibaka looked great tonight too.
That's fair to say. However, I just don't see them passing the Nuggets as the 2 seed.
I agree. They're not.
I just think that Pat Bev is a natural born loser, so he's going to lose and not make the 1 seed.
What's your problem with Pat Bev, dude? He's
he's annoying.
Pat Bev's equivalent in the rap game is Mario Judah, okay? I think never speak bad on his name.
Pat Bev might be the most obnoxious player in the league.
Okay, when it comes to this Clippers team, though, I think the reason why Serge fits this Clippers team a lot better than Montrez did was because Montrez was kind of like a block in the paint, right? While
he was too small to guard the actual big man. They tried putting him on AD and Yoke, and he just couldn't take it.
But Serge Ibaka is like a 7-foot big that has a lot of experience that can actually shoot from the perimeter, which opens up like guys like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George to be able to finish inside without having a big man in there as much as they would if they had Montrez. And I think that is why Serge fits this team so much better. The problem is I still think they need a passing point guard, and they really should look to make for a passing point guard. I was thinking maybe this would be a player that they could.
I think Rondo would have been a really nice fit for them.
What'd you say?
Rondo.
I think Rondo would have been a really nice pick.
Rubio would be a nice pickup for them because I think he's a pretty good passing point guard that can still defend.
Minnesota, isn't he? That's kind of funny.
I think
Ricky Rubio's back on, but I think he would fit really well on this Clippers team, and they could probably trade for him with just someone that's like a pretty decent defender, like a Marcus Morris type guy for Ricky Rubio.
No, they're not trading Marcus Morris for Rubio. They just signed him to
another player,
4-year deal. No, Marcus Morris is a big part of what they're playing in the forward position.
I get what you're saying though, but like
they need to make a play for a passing point guard though. They really don't have one that could make for this team.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It won't be Marcus Morris that they're shipping though.
Yeah, but I got the Clippers at the 2. I got the Nuggets at the 3. I think the Nuggets are a great team, but I still don't know how I feel about them losing Jeremy Grant. I think Jeremy Grant fit really well with that Nuggets team. And I still don't understand why Jeremy Grant didn't pick up that player option. What?
They did fine without him. Like, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, I know. Paul Millsap is starting to age a little bit more, and
don't ever speak bad about Paul Millsap again. I'm so
bad with these. They have Michael Porter Jr. to take his minutes.
Yeah, but he's not a good defender, and he can't guard the 3 and the 4 like Jeremy Grant.
So what? He's gonna triple. He's gonna triple Paul He's gonna triple Paul Millsap's offensive production.
That is true, but still, like defensive wise, he's not
glue guy
at all.
He's a glue guy. He's Jared Dudley, glue guy.
Okay,
I have the Clippers at the 2 and the Nuggets at the 1.
You have the Nuggets at the 1.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I think the Clippers are gonna try to establish a culture this year. After they lost, a lot of articles came out about Kawhi. He's living in San Diego and he's late to the meetings, and there's beef between the old guard and Montrez and Lou and Pat Bev and the new guard PG and Kawhi, who are coming in, showing up late and not practicing and skipping games and all this. I think Ty Lue and this new regime that they kind of set up for this year is gonna have them push to be a better regular season team and establish that culture. I think you kind of saw it tonight with Paul George going out there and really balling out. I think he's got something.
Yeah, 13 of 18, baby. Let's go. 33 points.
Yeah, but I think the Nuggets are going to be the 1 seed because the Nuggets, as we've seen the past 2 years, are a team that really cares about the regular season. They've still got a young core of guys who tend to be healthy and not miss time. I think
They have the
Jamal Murray
best
takes
center in the
a
West.
step to that all-star, almost maybe
I still don't
superstar
know
kind of
about that
level.
with Jamal Murray.
He was
I think-
incredible in the bubble. Mhm.
And
What
if
were you
you're,
gonna say,
if
Nick?
you're basing
Murray-
Jeremy Grant, if you're basing Jeremy Grant's production off the bubble, you gotta base Jamal Murray's as well.
I'm just saying this about Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray's a playoff performer. He's a good regular season player. He's consistent in the regular season. But if you look back of how Jamal Murray has played in the playoffs, he just takes just massive steps up
Yeah,
compared
the
to
Nuggets always get like the 2 seed
Close.
or the 3 seed.
He'll probably average like 22.
Nick, you're right, but Jamal Murray's 23 years old. Like he's still ascending, and
Yeah,
that's the reason
He
why.
was drafted in like 2016.
Now,
He still
you're
got-
right, Nick. I'm not expecting him to come out and average 29 like he did in the playoffs,
Yeah, that's
but I think he goes from 18 to 24.
that,
You know,
I
and I
was
think
for 23.
or at least he should.
I think that's enough for the Nuggets. I think the Clippers are going to make more of an effort to play in the regular season, but Kawhi's still going to load manage, and I think the Lakers are just going to take it easy, even though they're still the best team. Please do not hate me like Chuck does. So that's why I think the Nuggets will come in. They've got this kind of young, gritty culture with Michael Malone, and so I think they'll get the ones.
Okay. All
I
right.
like the Nuggets, but one seed is almost as bad as Phoenix 11 seed.
Okay, dude.
Well, where do you have the Nuggets, Fletch?
I have them at 3. They were switching between 3 and
Okay.
4 for me, between them and the Mavs.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty fluid. I don't think AD is gonna chill out like you think he is. I think he's gonna go
As
and
do I. They're going to be the 1 seed.
Yeah,
I don't think it's
I
any
think the
question.
Lakers-
You're right.
Lakers-
AD's not going to chill out. How good was AD in terms of winning regular season games before he got LeBron?
I mean,
Scott.
but you have to look at what he
Scott,
was
you're talking about the
dealing
Pelicans
with
versus
before
the
he had
Lakers.
The
LeBron.
Pelicans.
The Lakers were
really-
winning.
Have you ever seen AD this happy in LA, dude? I've never
You
seen.
guys are
Not
acting
even
like
close.
the Pelicans had the worst roster in the league, and the Lakers.
What?
They're
started
not a
LeBron
winning
and
club.
AD
They
had
made it to the
AD,
second
AD
round.
Holiday.
Baby.
Winning culture,
They made
man.
it to the second round.
in
Yeah, they got
year, Chuck.
swept, but they made
They
it to
were like a 7 seed or something, a 6 seed. Look, all I'm saying is
They were the
they're still going to be a top 3 seed, bro.
They're the ones.
AD is going to go out. He's going to chase MVP, get top 2 or 3 in voting, and the Lakers are going to be the 1 seed because LeBron will still play at least probably 65 out of these 72 games. And
I want to
there's
say one last thing real quick
Yep,
about
one
the Lakers.
last thing, then we got to end because this has been like our longest.
Yeah, I know. Offensively, the Lakers got so much better that I think Anthony Davis will be allowed to focus a little bit more on the defensive side of things. And that's why he's definitely my number 1 pick for Defensive Player of the Year this year. I think
Yep.
he's going to go crazy on the defensive side of things. And this Lakers team looks more complete even than last year just because of their roster changes.
I agree, and that's why they're the 1 seed. Woo!
yes, Scotty, leave.
All right, y'all. Thank you. If you're still here, I doubt anyone is, but if you're
No,
still
no one
here,
is.
thank y'all so much for watching. We really much appreciate it. Stay tuned for our Eastern Conference list as well. Thank y'all for watching. This has been The Last Word.
I feel